The Pixar story is an amazing documentary and a really great way to spend an hour and a half. This was released in 2007. It's written and directed by Leslie Iwerks, and it includes John Lasseter, Brad Bird, loads of people involved in Pixar, and the clips are gorgeous. But what I particularly loved about this, and this might sound stupid, but I loved the information. I watch any Disney documentary about the history of Disney and how they created various films, but I've read a lot of books about Disney, so I have a pretty strong understanding of the processes of the classic animation. However, the Disney books that I've read have they've either never really touched on Pixar or they've only had small Pixar sections. I basically know nothing about how this kind of film is created. So for me, it was really interesting to learn in quite a lot of detail about the technical aspects of how they created the films, problems they would overcome in the beginning, and not just with the beginning. They're talking about, for example, I won't give away too much, but when they were animating Monsters, Inc., they were talking about how initially it wasn't clear how they were going to do Sully's fur. And just all of these small little things that, to me, I would have no idea if that's difficult, if that's easy. So for me, it was really fascinating to learn about not just how the animation progressed over the years, but also the new obstacles that would arrive whenever they try and do a film that's a little bit different or that has characters that are a little bit different. And I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I know, obviously, a lot about Disney's history because I've read a lot, I've watched a lot, but when it comes to Pixar, I'm not that knowledgeable about the technical aspect. The history, yes, obviously the history of Pixar is not quite as extensive as the history of Disney itself, but there are still a lot of really fascinating stories, really great to go back to the beginning. And obviously, because the beginning wasn't that long ago, they do have a lot of footage, a lot of stills, a lot of material that they could include in this documentary to really bring it to life from the start until what was the present day in 2007. And of course, 2007, Pixar was still well known and well established, but their catalogue was missing what are now considered to be some of Pixar's strongest films. So that's also quite interesting. If they were to release this now or recreate this, maybe there is. If there's a more recent Pixar documentary, please feel free to let me know. But it would be interesting to see how things have progressed even since then and any other obstacles that they've come across. I assume that as technology advances, it gives them more and more opportunity, but it also means new things to learn and to adapt to new ways of doing things. And this is, of course, what it's about, adapting to a different way of animating. And it's really, really interesting. Yes, it goes into the technical aspect, but there are a lot of, there's a lot of history in this, but also a lot of emotions. Particularly because we are hearing firsthand from a lot of the people involved. And unlike Disney documentaries, or classic Disney documentaries, where unfortunately a lot of the people involved are understandably no longer around, it's quite exciting and thrilling to hear firsthand accounts of how things worked or how things didn't work, the passions behind these projects. It's so beautiful to see. And I will say no more than that. I will sum up by saying it's informative, very educational, lots of great information about the technical aspect. If you are an animator, a graphic designer, if you have a strong handle on that kind of work, it may not be that informative to you. But for me, I have no skill in that area. So for me, very, very fascinating. Love the history aspect. Everything was edited together really beautifully. No surprise there, of course. And if you're a Pixar fan, a Disney fan, I thoroughly recommend the Pixar story. It is on Disney Plus, and it's a really beautiful experience.